Welcome, everyone, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us today for the Modern Technology Changing the Face of Housing Authorities webinar. My name is Paige Porter, and I am a member of the marketing team for Mortgage Cadence. Today, we're excited to bring to you a well-rounded session, beginning with an introduction of our expert panelists who have joined us today, a panelist interview with Joe Camerari at Mortgage Cadence and Jackie Gibbs at Virginia Housing, and then we'll be taken through a live demonstration of the Mortgage Cadence platform with Mike Hughes of Mortgage Cadence to provide a more in-depth look into the platform. We're excited to have you join us today for this webinar and hope you find value in the panel questions and demonstration we will showcase with you today. With that, I will turn it over to Kelly Booth with Mortgage Cadence, who will introduce our expert panelists today. Kelly, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Paige, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Kelly Booth, and I'm part of the enterprise sales team at Mortgage Cadence. We'll kick it off with Joe Camerari. Joe is the EVP of Sales and Strategy at Mortgage Cadence. As a mortgage industry leader, Joe has over 33 years experience in consumer direct and retail mortgage banking. He has extensive knowledge of both operational and business development of the mortgage outsourcing segment, as well as in-depth knowledge of community bank, credit union, and consumer direct mortgage markets. Throughout his career, he has executed, managed, and successfully grown top mortgage relationships in the industry today. Today, Joe will be interviewing our special guest, Jackie Gibbs. Jackie is the Business Solutions Manager in the Homeownership Division for Virginia Housing. She has served in this role since 2014. In her role, she is responsible for mortgage loan originations and servicing systems. She manages a team of application specialists and administrators that work with Mortgage Cadence's MCP and Black Knight's MSP. Prior to being named as Business Solutions Manager, Jackie held positions of Enterprise Relationship Manager, Help Desk Team Lead, and Systems Administrator at Virginia Housing. She has been with Virginia Housing for over 32 years and has held over 13 different positions. Jackie is incredibly knowledgeable, and we couldn't be more pleased to have her join us today. After the interview, Mike Hughes will be providing you with insight into our new LOS, the Mortgage Cadence Platform, which we call MCP, with a brief demonstration. Mike is Associate Manager of Sales Effectiveness on the Mortgage Cadence Enterprise Sales Team. He is responsible for developing and executing software demonstrations that are tailored to prospects' needs and business processes. Before joining Mortgage Cadence, Mike got a start in the industry in 2014 as a mortgage loan officer. His deep origination knowledge and experience as both a loan officer assistant and loan officer has helped him to understand client needs and find solutions to the challenges they face daily. Mike is a resident expert of our new technology, and today he will be showing you an abbreviated version of our full demo. He will take you on a tour of MCP dashboards. He will walk through importing a loan, upload documents to the imaging platform, update loan import details, and will show you how easily you can administer users on the platform. We are hoping that this will give you a taste of how robust the new LOS platform is at Mortgage Cadence, and we welcome the opportunity to show you a full demonstration of MCP at any time, and we will provide information at the end of the webinar if you'd like to take us up on that offer. And with that, I will turn it over to Joe to get us started.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending this afternoon. And just before we get started with the Q&A, wanted to just tell you a little bit about the relationship between Mortgage Cadence and Virginia Housing. Virginia Housing is one of our oldest clients, frankly. The relationship began in 2012. And as you can imagine, lots of compliance efforts and enhancements and upgrades have happened over a decade in the mortgage industry. So work with Jackie very closely and Virginia Housing on all the things necessary to keep up with this, obviously, this fast-moving industry. The most recent upgrade, as Kelly indicated, was upgrading into our brand new tech stack, which is MCP. So not only will you hear a little bit about that as Jackie and I have a conversation, but you'll get to see it here very shortly when Mike does the demo. We're very, very thankful for our relationship with Virginia Housing. And certainly I believe that we have a great relationship with Jackie and her team. So without further ado, Jackie, so your organization has earned a reputation of being a leader in cutting edge modern technology. Can you speak a little bit about how that came to be, and specifically, what have you done internally with staff and infrastructure built out, to build such a wonderful reputation?
Well, as was noted, I'm the business solution manager in home ownership here at Virginia Housing, and I have a team that works for me in the business of home ownership, not in our IT area. And so most of the people on our staff are very mortgage savvy. They know mortgages a lot like the people at Mortgage Cadence have. They've worked in the mortgage industry and then worked with the technology. So we're able to provide a service to our users with that mortgage industry knowledge as well as the technical part. One of the things we value in Mortgage Cadence is that we are able to do configuration in the system for niche products that we do as a HFA. We're able to design things that are not quite normal for the mortgage industry and come out with new products and be able to do the coding ourselves to get that implemented and get it rolled out in a timely manner. So we're able to stay on top of things with the compliance things that come up, the regulatory changes, the new products. We have DPA assistance, we have closing cost assistance. We're able to keep all of that tracked in the system and report on it using the MCP tool today.
Great, thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, so having at your hands the best tech in the housing segment, talk to me a little bit about, like, what are the core drivers for you and your team? What are the things with technology that you're really focused on? As an example, like about creating a certain experience for your lenders, right? As a priority. Talk to me about that and some of the other priorities that you think about when you think about the tech and investments you want to make.
Well, we try to find something that's relatively user-friendly for our lenders to use. And we have about 90-some approved lenders that we purchase loans from. All of those lenders are able to go into Mortgage Cadence and upload, import, do the things they need to do to get their loans done quickly. But in addition to that, we're able to even set up administrators at their offices to do all the administration of their users for each company. So that management of those administrators and the people within those companies are not having to be done by, I only have a small team. It's only 5 people. So we're not able to do all that administration, and Mortgage Cadence gives us the capability of letting that happen there.
Great.
We also let the lenders upload documents. We let them go in and generate their approval letters. We're able to put everything we need in the system, so they're able to do that without having to have any manual intervention from us. They're able to just go into the system and get the approvals and request the loans be purchased by uploading the documents we need to review before we purchase the loans.
Great. Okay, that's great. So talk to me about data. Okay. Dive into a little bit about the type of data, the things that you're tracking. Okay. How does the use of data and reporting help you with enhancements to your platform, managed through bottlenecks, process improvements?
Well, one of the big things we have been able to utilize is we've done a lot of reporting off of performance management, how each individual is actually performing their jobs, the number of loans they're getting through. We're looking at, we've generated reporting off of the quality of the loan. And we're able to actually do objectives and performance management based on that from the data that comes out of Mortgage Cadence. And that's been pretty huge with, you know, staff planning and capacity modeling. Being able to pull that kind of data from the system has been really important to us.
Great. Okay. So talk to me about 2023. So we're solidly in, heading towards the spring home buying season. So what type of enhancements or what's your primary focus in 2023 for both internal users or your third-party lenders?
Well, one of the things we're doing is, and I'll explain a little bit about how we do business. We have a retail department that does about 100 loans a year. That is in areas of the state where we do not have mortgage lenders or banks at, so they're kind of an underserved area. We actually have a RV that has been renovated into an office type setup, and they go out and take loan applications in those areas and get those applications. It's very much part of our mission to go out and work with the people in these parts of the state, in the far southwest area and the Eastern Shore area. So we're able to do that, but we want to be able to do direct origination online, and we haven't up until now done that. We are getting ready to implement Borrower Center. Borrower Center is the module of Mortgage Cadence you can get that does online originations. And one of the important parts of that for us is we've been doing pre-qualifications on people for years and not really had a way to track it other than manually. Now all this data will be maintained in Mortgage Cadence. We'll be able to report on the pre-quals in addition to the loans that we've actually done. And it's gonna make it a much better process for us. We don't compete with our lenders though, so we're not going to put the link for it out on our .com site and let everybody go to it, because it's only for purposes of serving the areas of the state where there aren't lenders at. But everybody's very excited internally about getting that and having the quicker and easier access to documents and signatures and getting disclosures turned around a lot more efficiently.
Got it. That's great. Well, listen, my last question here is, and obviously, Jackie, you know, most housing authorities are not in the retail business, as you indicated, not wanting to compete with their lenders. So it is very intriguing about the retail model. What is it about the Borrower Center? What attributes about the Borrower Center you think are most compelling in what you've just described as this, this new mission and the new initiatives?
I think it's gonna, the generations have changed so much. It's people that probably never thought they'd use technology that are very savvy now with a smartphone. I think 20 years ago, we probably wouldn't have had that many people use this in these parts of the state, but things have changed so much in the last 20 years. I really think we will actually have more people use it than we originally thought. I think having everything in the system and having a way to track and report off that data is critical. Get down into the weeds of the data with the applications and see that we're really serving the people we want to serve as a part of our mission. All that's very important.
Great. All right. Well, listen, Jackie, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate your support as such a long-term partner of Mortgage Cadence. And I think at this point, we'd like everybody to see what we've been talking about. So I'll turn it over to you, Mike. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Joe and Jackie. So my name is Mike Hughes. I'm a sales engineer here at Mortgage Cadence. Before joining Mortgage Cadence, I was a loan officer, so I did have some experience in the state of Illinois working with Illinois Housing Development Authority. Did quite a few loans with them. Also was able to work with WHEDA, Wisconsin Housing Development Authority, and Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago with their Down Payment Plus program. So I got to see a wide mix of proprietary technology that was web hosted, as well as third-party technology that they use between those three different down payment assistance and housing finance agencies. Excited to show you what we have on the Mortgage Cadence platform and how it can help accommodate whether you're doing delegated or non-delegated flows within your system. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off here and share my screen. All right, so what we're looking at now is the Mortgage Cadence platform, also known as MCP. We are hosted with Microsoft Azure on the cloud. It is device and web browser agnostic, so users can access this from a smartphone, tablet. You could also view this on Google Chrome or Safari. You could use different browsers to access the platform. And what we're looking at on this home page is a sample of a landing page. So I've set this up for an HFA partner, in this case, specifically an originator. We have our username here, Charlie Chaplin, who is going to be importing a file today to the system from his own LOS. He works for the made-up company First Level Mortgage that happened to be one of the top 5 lenders in the state in 2022. So here on this page, I can include links that take us to different places. So user guides, income limits, the most recent disclosure packages I could place here on this site. We can also include additional panels with other information if we wanted to. And a couple big differentiators of Mortgage Cadence is we are our own imaging platform and document center. What I mean by that is documents that are uploaded to the platform. We have an imaging provider that will recognize a pay stub as a pay stub, IRLA is an IRLA, W-2s is what they are, tax returns is what they are. So larger scans and uploads can come into the system, and then they can be parsed out into individual documents. Being our own document provider, we can generate disclosure packages that are intelligent. So if there's different requirements for whether a borrower elected to do a mortgage credit certificate or you have different programs with different disclosures to be generated, we can intelligently build those packages out and then map fields from the platform to those packages. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the system and showing some of this in action. So I've got a couple tabs open at the top, just as an example here. We've got Charlie Chaplin, who's our loan officer. I have another loan officer here, Buster Keaton. We go over to his pipeline. We're going to see the loans that Buster has in progress. So on this dashboard, each user has the ability to create some custom filters to sort out the loans how they would like to see them. They can also reorganize or change the columns that are on display here. If I were to do that, so let's say I wanted to have status over here to the left side, we'll notice this floppy disk icon appear where I could save the current grid view. Now, this is security restricted. So Jackie mentioned a little bit earlier that admins are able to add users just to their branch. So for an example, an admin of First Level Mortgage, we happen to have logged in here. I'll go over to that one, actually log out here and go to the one I'm looking for. We've got Chester Cheetah as an admin for First Level Mortgage. They're going to have a different view where they're able to see all of the loans that their loan officers and processors, underwriters have on the platform. So when I log in here, go to my pipeline, I now have a different view as a lender admin. I can see the different loan officers involved with the loans that they have in the system. I have a count of all of the loans that we have in progress. And we also have some different ways to segment this. I could search the entire grid below, or I could use something we call column grouping. Let's say I want to take a look at all of my loan officers, see how many loans they have in progress. I could go here and then break this down to look at the loans. Charlie happens to be a top producer of down payment assistance loans. So here I can break this up and then look at the loans that each of those users are working on. You'll also notice we have this chain link on the pipeline. That indicates that this has a corresponding second mortgage tied to it. So I'd be able to access the second reservation that is getting input into the system and take a look at those details. And we're able to synchronize data between the first and second loan reservations. So just in case a loan amount happens to change throughout the process, or we have some changes to income and we want to make sure things are still good to go, we're going to see those fields update. And as an admin on the platform, you have the ability to configure which fields you want to synchronize between each loan. So I'm going to close this down, and then we're going to move over to our loan officer again. So here I'm in with Charlie. I'm going to import a loan file. So for Charlie, how I would do that, up here in the top right, I've got my loan options, this piece of paper. I can import a MISMO 3.4 file. So I could either drag this from another folder on my computer or choose to browse. It's going to open up Explorer, and I'm going to choose this more loan that I exported and import this file. So it already knows I'm part of First Level Mortgage. It's going to import this where I only have access to bring it into my channel or branch, I should say. And then this is going to take in all of that data set from a 3.4 file. So there, of course, there's a couple fields I'll want to review and update just to make sure things look okay. But when I'm first logging in, I'm greeted with a summary information page. So I could set a different summary information page, whether this is a processor, underwriter, or an internal user at an HFA. This landing page then includes here some borrower information. So starting off, this example I'm going to give is a delegated submission, but in the event I had a non-delegated loan and wanted to import some credit or upload a credit report, I'd be able to do that here. In this case, I'm just going to enter in my scores. And the system will automatically calculate the medians. I can also indicate that the mailing and property address are the same. And if I have certain programs that are perhaps eligible to all buyers, not just first-time home buyers, I can modify this here and have different logic tied to that field. I go in here and type in Jennifer's details. And then as I scroll down here, I can also embed text on some of these panels. So it's important to talk about, when I speak as I here, I'm talking from the perspective of a lender, or not lender, a HFA admin. We have a tool on our platform called UI Designer, where you can build out your own custom pages. You can also reconfigure some of the core pages that we have on the platform and even add text. So I have a link here with a hyperlink out to a full checklist example. But I also can include a list here of documentation that we want to have uploaded for users. So if I already know that, or maybe I've got the documents in, Charlie Chaplin's done a few of these loans, so he knows exactly what he has to upload. You can go over here to add attachments, opens up a modal. Again, I can either drag and drop things like a purchase contract, signed disclosures, some of the things we saw on that checklist into this area, or I might have them all scanned in as a submission package. So I'm going to go ahead and click open on this. I choose an attachment category. In this case, we call it upload attachments. This means our imaging provider will recognize what these documents are in there automatically, where I don't have to split those up. This page, or this document I'm including, is about 60 pages. So saving a lot of work of splitting those out, where I was able to just scan it all together and then upload the PDF. I can add a little note here if I want to. And so while this is uploading, it's going to have the imaging platform recognizing documents while I'm still able to review the details of the import. So once this is completed, it will automatically close the window out for me. Give it a little bit here for this 5 megabyte file. We can see that that was included. And now I can go in and start filling out details of my household composition. So this one, we've got Alexander and Jennifer. They both work. They've got one child. If I happen to know the income, I can type this in here. If I want to include some logic on this homeownership course, so if you have a requirement for homeownership education before reserving grant or down payment assistance funds, we could put some logic on this field to say if it's blank, we're not allowing loan officers to reserve funds. That's just an example of something that could be done. I can then also indicate if I have subordinate financing, down payment assistance. I have this modal that opens up. I can type in the amount that I'm requesting, choose who that would be. And then if I happen to be using some of that toward down payment and or closing costs, I can indicate how much is going to be used for other purposes. Click on OK. And then we'll enter in our estimated close date. Go with St. Patrick's Day here. I've got my property address that came in from the import. If I happen to know the square footage from a listing, I could add this here. And then give a couple other indications. Of course, this could change some income limits perhaps, or maybe there's an increased income limit in a targeted area. I could specify those details here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. So again, what I mentioned in the beginning, this is device and browser agnostic. So I'm just going to show this as an example of what it would look like if I pulled this up on an iPhone. So here we have an iPhone 12. We're going to see the screen render appropriately to the device real estate we have available on the screen. As I scroll through here, I'd be able to click. The only downside, of course, is I'm using 2 thumbs instead of all of my fingers to type, but I don't have any limited functionality. I can do everything I need to do, including choosing a product and reserving the funds or locking in that product. So, perhaps there's an indication that we're toward the end of the year, the program funds are getting low, and users need to make sure they reserve those funds for their borrowers. They can go in on their mobile device, do that, or maybe they're aware of a pricing change that could be coming soon. Rates are getting volatile and they want to lock that in. Could do that from a smartphone. I'm going to go ahead and make this selection here to choose HFA product. We open up a product and pricing wizard here, so I could enter in a tracking number from my original loan file. I can also still continue to review some of the details from the import. I can make the selection of which AUS vendor I had used and what my status was. And then down here, enter in my original application date, as well as have that information populate over for the second mortgage. In terms of eligibility, I can click on Get Eligible Products. Actually, save this real quick. Might have to go back in there and type some of that in. So let's select this again. Then advance with my pricing wizard. So here with product and pricing, I make selection of the product I was looking for. It's going to pull up the available options. In this case, I have a Fannie Mae loan, so I'm going to go ahead and select that product. Advance forward, I'm able to select from different pricing. So if I did want to allow for longer lock terms, maybe you do a 60 or 90-day lock, or you allow for extensions at your organization, this is where those would be. Submit, and then you can also use this to request that information. Now I have the ability to lock this in, again, as long as I'm between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday in my time zone, I can lock this. If I happen to have a change, so we have a product change or The borrower decides they're increasing the grant amount or down payment amount they're looking for, I could do this change request and generate a form. I'll go ahead and lock this in. We're going to see these populate here with our expiration and lock time. And then I'm able to close this window. We're going to see my product populate here. And if there's any additional details I need to type in for qualification, I can do that here. I have the ability to include some details on property taxes and homeowners insurance. Now in here, this is populating from my original application, but if I needed to make a change, let's say the tax bills just came out, I want to update that. It's going to update here and auto calculate the monthly amount, and also on the reverse, if I know homeowners insurance is $115 a month, it will reverse calculate for me here and take care of some of these premiums and calculations on my behalf. So after this, what I can do is go back up and check on those uploads that I had included. So we could do a quick refresh here. Looks like they're still being imaged on the platform, but should see those come through pretty soon. What I would do if I wanted to move this loan forward to the next stage, so I went ahead and I did lock it in. We could see the status here change that it was locked. And go to my utilities. And these could be renamed to other things, but we're just going to call this a delegated confirmation. And now I purposely have left some information out on this loan. So that way I would get a halt here. So our system has something we call check, CHEQ. When I try to advance this loan to the next stage or milestone, I'm going to see a pop-up here that's going to prevent me from doing so. So we've got a halt in place, didn't change the status, and it's having me navigate to my check condition review page. So to introduce some more areas of the Mortgage Cadence platform, up here in the top left, this hamburger icon is our mega menu. I have some different favorites that are included here. We've got our check condition review. I'm able to click on for HA, we call Housing Authority. If I give this loan a refresh, we're going to see I'm missing some key details before I can submit this loan forward. So we've built a few different ones in place. In this case, I'm missing the gender for one or more of the borrowers. I can also link some pages in. So I'll show an example of what that looks like, but continuing our tour of MCP, off to the left side, I'm going to open up what we call our favorites drawer. Favorites drawer is always going to show me details of the loan, loan amounts. We've got our loan to value as well as our total DTI. And I have some favorite pages here that I use quite often. So that loan summary information was the one that we were looking at in the beginning. I could verify details I had entered in. The check review page, perhaps I want to add that as a favorite. I could certainly do that here. Typing a little too fast. And then save it. So this is always pinned to the left side. I also have access to my IRLA if I wanted to review the full IRLA. This would be a workflow collection of pages that are in the order of the IRLA sections. I'm going to go back to this review. One of the easier ways to access this is we can link in different pages and data about the loan. So gender is missing. That's from our demographic information page. I can click on this. It's going to open up a modal. Looks like Jennifer is the one I happen to forget this on. I'll double check for Alexander. Looks like I'm good to go on that. One last double check here. Click OK. Now I don't have to worry about clearing anything in here. I can just click on submitting. And I'll request that confirmation again. And we're going to see this automatically update and advance our loan forward now to the next user or milestone. So there's a lot more we could show on this. This is an example of a delegated flow of where it's already being underwritten by the third-party lenders team. But in here, I'm able to then see what would happen from advancing that loan forward. And we've got a couple other tools over here too. So let's say Charlie had some information he wanted to leave for another user on the platform. He could go in and leave a note. So perhaps there's a question about income I'll just type some of this in. So maybe we're not using bonus income to qualify, but we want to make sure that's on the income calculator and make sure we didn't reserve this if it's tight on the program limits. I could leave a note to another user, whether that's at the housing authority or this is a processor on my team that's going to take a look at that and just confirm things are okay. And then those other users can come in and reply back to these notes. It's not in a fashion where it's one after another. I could have users actually have a conversation with each other in here. And if I had 20 or 30 comments on a loan, I could even flag a comment as a priority and have that up there for other users to see. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the loan summary page. By now, we should have our documentation recognized by the imaging provider. So we'll go ahead and refresh this. So earlier I had submit this package. It was about 65 pages, that's 60 to 65. We'll click on it, take a look at it. So yeah, 64 pages. I had my AUS findings, credit report, had a contract in here, disregard the state there, but as an example, but the imaging platform was able to split these out for me and recognize what they are. Now in the event, looks like I have 2 counseling agency lists on here. In the event something like that happened, I could also recategorize these. Can move over to our doc tracking module, take a look at what those are, and recategorize them if something happened to get misidentified. So I'll actually sort that again. It happened to be there at the top. So it looks like this one definitely, once it loads here, is our counseling list from the application. But then the second one came through as a counseling agency list, but turns out this is our home buyer education certificate. So I want to rename that and go ahead and click on this and then choose from a drop down. And then rename that file, click save, and have that stored in there for the next user or housing authority user to take a look. So from here, I'm going to go over to our pipeline again. I do still have to reserve my second. So I had 15,000 I was requesting in down payment assistance. What I would do is click on this loan. Same place I imported the file, I can click create a piggyback loan. It's going to generate a second with a little chain link that will link it together. So up here at the top, I can see I've got my link to my primary loan as well as my secondary loan. I do have to do a quick save in the primary loan for this to update. So I'm just going to go back over here and do a quick save. Forgot to save that earlier. And then when I transition back to the second, I'd go through much the same process where I would verify, make sure the information I typed in all looked correct. So we didn't have anything different from the import. And I can also see, instead of having my full loan amount move over to this, it's going to do the loan amount that I requested and have that in there as the second amount. So able to have that updated and then synchronize some of the details, or if I happen to make changes on one of these or another field, it's going to update both loan files through this link that we have. So I just go ahead and complete my lock, my reservation, make sure both are confirmed, and I'm good to move forward. So next up, I'm going to show what it looks like to administer users on the platform. Going to jump over to another tab up here at the top. We'll go to our admin Cheetah. So as an admin, Chester is able to go up here in the top right corner and has a toggle switch here to go into admin mode. Within admin mode, Chester has access only to users that are within first level mortgage. But let's say I'm onboarding a new loan officer and I want to give access to be able to reserve funds on the platform. I could go in here and click add user, start typing in the name. We can also enable single sign-on if we wanted to, or multi-factor for the login. But then I could have them, the accounts be unlocked if we needed to, rather than having your HFA staff, which you're probably pretty lean on the staff you have, reset passwords for hundreds of different clients and potentially thousands of different users. You could enable and empower the users on MCP as third-party admins to go in and then create and set up different accounts for their users here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. We'll open it up to question and answer. We're here to answer questions for you. And if you're interested in seeing more, we'd be happy to set up some time to take some deeper dives as soon as next month. But yeah, I'll turn it over, Paige, see if we have any questions that might have come through, and I'll be happy to answer those.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for walking us through the Mortgage Cadence platform. That was great. We do have 2 questions in the queue. I'll read off the first one, which is a 3-part question. It's how does the imaging platform work when a user is uploading documents? Can it recognize all of the documents listed on that submission list? And what happens if a document is not recognized?
Perfect. All right. So I will go actually back into that primary loan real quick. So we have about a 90% certainty in terms of what can be recognized. Now we have about 350 documentation types. So a lot of the common ones you'll see here, whether that's a bank statement, 401k, sales contract, those are going to be recognized. But perhaps as a housing authority, you've got your own unique forms that are coming in here. One example would be like a rate lock agreement or something like that. If I had some of those documents come in, what I can do is include a barcode. We are our own doc provider, so we could have a barcode at the bottom of the documents where it instantly is identified as that type of document. So this is just an example here, but I have a barcode here that is identifying this as an intent to proceed, brings it into the platform. And so any custom docs, we'd be able to add that to and make sure that they get into the appropriate area of the system. You did see earlier, I was able to rename that extra counseling agency list, which did get misidentified. It was happened to be an education certificate. So certainly those are going to look a little different, whether it's eHome America or other organizations that are local that are being used. You have to make sure that those come through. And if it happens to not be recognized at all, maybe it got crumpled up, coffee stain on it, something like that, I can get it to come in where it'll say rename. And then I just have to manually review and identify what that doc type is. Did that answer all the parts of the question? Just make sure on it, didn't want to miss anything there.
Yep, that answered all 3 parts of the question. Perfect.
Okay.
And we do have one other question in the queue. And just as a reminder for everyone in the audience, if you do have questions, you can submit them via the Q&A chat box feature on the bottom of your Zoom panel. So the second question in the queue is, with Mortgage Cadence operating its own document provider, how would we go about having our documents generated for our lender clients to have them signed by borrowers as needed?
Great question. And that is an area that I think we have a pretty big strength in. Again, being our own document provider gives us a lot of say in what we can do there. And we have less risk of information transferring over to a third party and something not transferring over correctly. Since we're on the same database, same platform, that information transfers over pretty seamlessly. But how we would do that is we go into here, paperclip icon, order documents, and some of these documents can actually be triggered off automatically. So earlier when I locked in the rate, I actually had this generate a lock package, and I forgot to show this. I meant to show this, so this question is actually really good. But we can automatically distribute a notification to users. So I have my loan 2100093432 that corresponds to my loan here for Alexander and Jennifer. And that rate lock package was generated and can be sent off as a notification. So we don't have to include the document, but that's something that we can do in our platform, is have certain events that trigger off a documentation package. And we could also then use the product type. So if we had a deferred or a forgivable or repayable option as down payment assistance, I could have those different disclosures generated here, and then able to submit, or clicking on this would open it up and allow me to then print off this document if I'm meeting with a borrower in person, to be able to generate it. And we'll see here, this is a Connecticut property. So the forms we're going to look at are going to update accordingly based upon the state and different county that was selected. Yeah, the document center is our team. If you have new documents you need to add, you're able to reach out to your customer success executive, and we can work with you to get those into the platform on an as needed basis when you make new products.
Perfect. And there is one follow-up to that question. Is the system able to change the document packages based on programs, income limits, or targeted areas?
Yes, I did talk a little bit about program, but going back to our loan summary page, we could use different triggers on here. So there was a question on a targeted area, for example. This trigger, whether it's in a targeted area or not, is corresponding to a field ID in the system. So if that is in a targeted area, by this being selected, yes, is giving the system some logic to say, include some additional documentation on there, or change the income limits that are associated, or maybe it's a purchase price limit that goes away. These can trigger off not only documents, but other logic within the system.
Very good. That is all of the questions that we have in the queue. As a reminder, if there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to submit them via the Q&A chat box feature. But with that, I'll turn it over to Kelly for some closing remarks.
Yeah, thanks, Paige. And thank you to our panelists and everyone that joined us today. As we mentioned, if you'd like to see a deeper dive of MCP, please contact us. You can contact me directly at the email that's here on the screen, and we will provide you with the recording. And again, we really appreciate you joining us, and look forward to having deeper conversations with you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Take care.